Welcome to Viewing and Reviewing, where I pull older movies off the shelf, watch them, and let you know if I believe they're worth your time to watch or not. I'm Bobby T, your online video store clerk, and I'll be searching through my VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray collection to find titles that I think may be interesting to review. In today's episode, I'll be reviewing 1987's Long Gone, directed by Martin Davidson and starring a pre-CSI William Petersen, Virginia Madsen, and Dermot Mulroney. Let me read you the VHS cover. Not since The Natural has there been such a rousing baseball comedy drama as Long Gone. Set in Florida's minor leagues during the 50s, Long Gone stars William Petersen as Stud Cantrell, a washed-up star now managing the ragtag Tampico Stogies from farm team. A hard-drinking womanizer, Stud wheels and deals the Stogies into pennant contenders and himself into contention for the heart of a sassy blonde, Dixie Lee Boxx, played by Virginia Madsen. Against all odds, September finds Stud and the Stogies in a pennant title game when the opposing team owner secretly offers Stud the career opportunity of a lifetime. Grab a hot dog and get ready to cheer for the Stogies. Long Gone is a centerfield smash off the funny bone straight to your heart. Now, this film usually sits in most top 10 baseball movies of all time that nobody seems to have heard of. I had the pleasure of watching Long Gone on its world premiere on HBO back in 1987. I watched all the old making-of snippets on this film. I probably watched it 20 times. You got to understand that when this film was made, baseball films were not known as great moneymakers, so they weren't being made until Bull Durham came along. The story of a bunch of hard-drinking, woman-chasing losers coming together to try to win a pennant against all odds may seem cliché today due to films like Bull Durham and Major League, but this film predates all of those great films. The VHS box references The Natural as its comparison, and it really isn't. This is a small-budget comedy drama, not a soaring King Arthur-type quest like in The Natural. You have a AAA, AA, single A minor league clubs in the real world. Then you have the Tampico Stogies of the 1950s at the bottom of the barrel. These guys are getting paid $150 for an entire season, so you know there isn't much hope for the bigs. This club's washed-up manager/pitcher/lady chaser Stud Cantrell just hooked up with Miss Cherry Blossom Dixie Lee Boxx, who was never anyone's one-night stand without getting something of value in return. Add in 18-year-old second-base phenom Jamie Don Weeks and a powerful slugging black man, Venezuelan Joe Jose Brown. All the while, the team's father-son a-hole owners are pulling all the strings to make the season as difficult as possible on the team. Does that sound familiar? You can see where this is going from a mile away, but it's a joyous ride nonetheless. This is old-time baseball we don't get to see often anymore. Virginia Madsen tells the story that Bull Durham writer-director Ron Shelton attended the premiere in the theater of Long Gone and sat in the same aisle as Virginia. She said she saw him many times scribbling notes during the screening of the film. Shelton admits the very same thing, but he says any similarities to Bull Durham are pure coincidence, even though Bull Durham came out a year later. Yeah, right. So, if you love these kinds of films, Long Gone should be one to watch for sheer novelty of inspiration for an all-time classic, if nothing else. But it's a lot better than that. So, my overall report card, it looks like this. Based on baseball movies, by the way. Does it stand the test of time? You know, you saw one of the scenes earlier in the review, so you know the quality isn't great. If it wasn't for the dated look of a made-for-TV cable movie, I'd say this is a solid A-. This isn't meant to be anything more than it is. An old-time baseball film set in the 1950s with a bunch of lovable crazies thrown in for fun in the mid-1980s before Bull Durham. My baseball-playing son watched this with me in high school, and he's watched it several times since because he loved it. If you know what you're getting into, yes, it easily stands the test of time. The story. Well, you know, I'm looking at the book right here that this film is based on, and it surprisingly stays true to the source material. I'd give this a B+. I'll acknowledge it isn't Bull Durham based on the budget or star power of that film. But this is just as many storylines about washed-up ball players who had their shot at the bigs, racial bigotry in the 1950s South, both on the team and in the community where the team bus is faced with a town full of bigots, which is one of my favorite scenes in the movie, by the way. Booze, women, cruel owners that know what buttons to push to keep their players down. If you've ever played ball or even followed ball in your lifetime, you'll recognize all of these characters and are more true to life stories than you care to remember. The author definitely was a ball player at one time. The cast. For a made-for-TV film, they got a bunch of real talent. This is a solid A. William Petersen shines brightest as the lead crazy Stud Cantrell, long before he became civilized in the CSI world. Virginia Madsen in one of her first films where she is the foul-mouthed, chain-smoking Dixie Lee Boxx. Perfect name for her character, by the way. Dermot Mulroney had never played baseball before this film, but you'd never tell it from one of his first on-screen appearances. And Larry Riley as Jose Brown, faking Spanish to cover up his brutal temper and power with the bat, is sheer perfection. Add in a bunch of supporting casts that all play their roles like it meant something. Plus, you get one of the only speaking parts for Teller of Penn and Teller fame, and you have one of the best casts for a TV movie of all time. Cinematography. You'd think this could be should be a cheaply done film, but I'm giving this an A-. Yes, it's shot on cheap film stock compared to the big budget films, but it doesn't take away any of the 1950s charm of old-time baseball. They may have only had a few old-time baseball fields for sets, but they made the most of it. It feels like the 1950s, and that's what we should be expecting. The music. Okay, the music isn't great, but it was of the era. The VHS box compares the film to The Natural, but the music most obviously ain't. I'll give it a B, partly because it isn't really memorable, and partly because William Petersen singing a drunken version of Hank Williams Sr.'s Lonesome Blues multiple times in the film gets a little old after a while. It fit the film though, so you can take that grade with a grain of salt. So, based on the above scores, I'm going to give this film an A- rating against all other baseball films. Against all films in Hollywood history, this score would probably be lower. However, the viewer of this film will probably be someone with a desire to watch a sports film, and baseball doesn't get much more down and dirty than Long Gone. The cast is amazing, the story is funny and surprisingly intelligent, and we get to watch baseball as it was meant to be when players only earn pocket money to play and keep dreaming about making it to the bigs. It is a true classic baseball film and deserves to be seen. Shame on HBO for never releasing this on DVD. So, here are a few other sports films along the same genre. Pastime is one of my personal favorite baseball films that nobody has ever heard of. It's set in the same era as Long Gone, and it looks like it has the same budget. It's the story of an aging, past his prime if he ever had one, pitcher on a losing 1950s single-A ball club coached by the lovable Noble Winningham as the big-hearted manager in the American South that is scraping by. A talented but painfully shy young black pitcher shows up and everyone immediately shuns the kid, except for the old pitcher who teaches the kid how to be a professional ball player with his heart and not his head. It's a film for ex-ball players who love playing the game, and the surprising ending will bring a tear to any eye that has ever held a ball. Second, The Bingo Longs, Traveling All-Stars and Motor Kings. Long name for a fun movie. This had a bit higher budget than Long Gone, but has the same zany characters and the same feel of a team of Negro League All-Stars that go on a barnstorming tour in the 1930s. It has one of the greatest casts ever, with Billy D. Williams, James Earl Jones, Richard Pryor, and a whole bunch of others you'll recognize. It's funny, poignant, and shows why we love the game of baseball. And a non-baseball film, Slapshot. This is Long Gone on the ice. Paul Newman leads a nutso group of minor league hockey players that might have their team shut down when the town's mill closes, so they fight, drink, and chase women all the way to the league championship game. Add in the immortal Hanson brothers as the glasses-wearing, fist-swinging goons from hell, and you have sports comedy gold. Get the DVD version that I'll link to below and listen to the commentary by the Hanson brothers, and you'll laugh even more. Highly recommended. Well, that's it for Long Gone. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on the like button below. If you want to keep up to date on my future reviews, please click on the subscribe button below. Since the VHS that I'm holding in my hand is nearly impossible to track down, somebody on YouTube has uploaded the entire movie, so I'll have that link below too until it's removed. If you want to purchase the hard-to-find Long Gone on VHS like mine, because it's never been released on DVD, thanks HBO, or if you wish to purchase any of the other films that I've mentioned earlier, please follow the Amazon links below. If you have any suggestions for movies you'd like me to review, please leave a comment below. I'll see what I can do. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, be sure to help others in need because it's always the right thing to do. Have a great week.